About 25 minutes into Masters of the Universe, Camila Mendez's Tila will try and fail to save Adam from this vicious lion-like beast that's after the Sword of Power. While they're running away helplessly, the true hero of the film will come to the rescue, an Amazon Prime truck. No, I'm not joking, and one sincerely has to wonder, if Amazon Prime didn't have their beloved and famous 2-day delivery guarantee, would that truck have been going fast enough to stop this vicious lion-like beast in its feral rage? Well, luckily, we don't have to wonder, because Amazon Prime does have a 2-day guaranteed delivery. Go see He-Man, Amazon Prime original. I feel like that scene is kind of a microcosm for a problem I have with most of the scenes in this movie. Let's talk about it. I went and saw Masters of the Universe on Sunday, June 7th, otherwise known as 6/7, and as of me writing this script, it's sitting at 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, and you know what that means.
What?
During the climax of the film, before Adam and Tila run off to fight Evil Lyn and Skeletor, Tila's father, Man-in-Arms, embraces her for a heart-to-heart moment to close out their character journeys throughout the film. See, at the beginning of the film, we see Man-in-Arms as a good role model to both Tila and Adam, but during the events of that opening, an almost Man of Steel-esque, overly drawn-out takeover scene, he fails, and you can see over the next 15 years in the film, him becoming a drunk, a shell of his former self, disappointing his daughter all the while. Through her, though, he found his strength back, seeing how she fought for their home, and so he embraces her and says to her,
"You're the man I always wished I could be."
To which she kind of just responds, befuddled, not really knowing what to say, until the moment is interrupted by Adam hugging them and like not really respecting them, saying like, hey, go away. On the other hand, Adam's parents kind of suck. His dad is really direct, constantly berating his son for being weak and making him recite lines such as, "There is no place in this world for the weak." Pretty heavy-handed stuff. And then his mom kind of filling that classic role of being a little more emotionally there, but not really standing up to the father's wishes. So she's just like, "Sorry, Adam, I know you hate it, but you've got to go to combat training. That's just what princes do." I'm pretty sure she actually says that. Once we arrive on Earth, Adam is struggling to adjust to his life, his manhood and identity. He doesn't know how to work out very well. He goes to the gym and like fumbles around like a jackass. He works in HR, and even though he's good at it, he hates it. And he doesn't do well romantically. He's always talking about some bullshit on dates, his origin story. He goes home and his roommate is crying watching The Notebook, and slyly turns it off so that Adam doesn't see. And he goes, "Did you tell your date about how your dad perceived that you don't have any masculinity?" And he's like, "Yeah, I did do that." And his roommate's like, "Don't do that."
Just makes you sound a little very crazy.
And then later on in the film, you will once again see this guy covering the fact that he's crying to a cheesy rom-com. So, okay, this is a movie about masculinity. It's a movie about manhood and what that means. And we have this roommate character who's making fun of his perceived lack of masculinity whilst also hiding the fact that he loves The Notebook. Pretty clear setup for something. So, the third time we see this character, what do you think it addresses? Well, Adam just kind of rubs the fact that Eternia is real in his face, and they never touch upon the fact that this guy loves The Notebook, which seems kind of odd. This is how the movie treats every single chance it has to actually address its themes. But that, I mean, kind of makes sense, right? You get to the end, and Adam has this massive revelation. The power was always inside of you. You didn't need the Sword of Power, except after this revelation, the Sword of Power will be repaired, and he'll beat the ever-living shit out of Skeletor, because that's always how this movie had to end, with He-Man beating up Skeletor. This sort of thing would be fine to me. I don't hate the idea of a villain just being a villain for the sake of it, but when your entire movie's themes are built around this, and Skeletor has a perfect chance to mirror that, turning it into a joke, just like you turn every single other moment you have for serious messaging into a joke, it just falls flat. The movie's marketing has a better sense of the sincerity it should have, having Nicholas Galitzine do these old-timey PSAs, and I find it incredibly charming.
Or is it just me? Astonishing how hot it got in such a short time. You know what else gets hot fast? The inside of cars. It can be deadly for children if left unattended. All parents want to keep their kids safe, so after you park your car, remember to always stop, look, then lock. Be the master of your universe, and never leave a child alone in a car, ever.
But it's way less charming when you realize that these ads have a better sense of the movie's themes than the movie itself. I mean, so much is dumb. This movie lives on contradictions. Tila makes an earnest plea to Adam to understand that Skeletor can't be redeemed, that he is a villain, and her ultimate reasoning is that his face face is a skull, except the power lives in a big castle called Grayskull with a massive skull on it that has nothing to do with Skeletor. So why would people from Eternia think that skulls equal bad? It doesn't make any sense. And you might think I'm nitpicking, to which I say, fuck you. A large portion of the conversation I've seen around this film is just arguing about its relationship to its sincerity and source material. You have a lot of people saying, oh, this movie embraces the campiness and the silliness. It's wholeheartedly in love with Masters of the Universe. But then you also have people saying this movie is constantly making fun of its source material and embarrassed to be adapting a silly children's cartoon. I think on one hand, it's not necessarily an indictment on a film if it makes fun of its own silly aspects. I mean, if I lived in a silly world, I would probably still point out the silliness. I do that already. But I do think that this fundamental disagreement from the people who did or did not like the film, arguing the exact opposite things to be obviously true, is just a very large indictment to how unfocused this movie is. I will say that it seems like director Travis Knight, the son of Phil Knight, the founder of Nike, and Jeffy Bezos, and all the Amazon executives love the universe. I don't think they were embarrassed to be adapting He-Man. They wouldn't have spent $200 million on it if they were. So the fact that this is bombing at the box office because of Jared Leto doesn't really seem to be bothering them. You know what? Who I love is Alison Brie, who plays Evil Lynn in this movie. She's so goofy. I'll always be seated for Alison Brie. Go watch my Community and Rick and Morty video. So it's too bad that her character amounts to nothing with its thematic setup. There are multiple times throughout the film where you can see that Evil Lynn is trying to exert bravado, control, dominance in the same ways that Skeletor does, by trying to be loud and showy. And Skeletor does nothing except for bring her down, whether it be by physically beating her, whether it be by making fun of her or criticizing her. And I think this is something that we see a lot in real life, where men do not want to be outshone by the women that they're in a relationship with. They like when women are accessories, not when women are their own people. You had so much set up here, so what does it amount to? It amounts to Evil Lynn just walking away during the climax, not a single word said, never to be seen again. They don't resolve this tension with her and Skeletor ever at all. She just leaves. I mean, I guess she can return for the sequel. That's cool, I guess. For a movie that comes in at a whopping 2 hours and 20 minutes, it really feels like so much important character work was cut out, and not just in relation to Evil Lynn. The movie feels so drawn out, it does not feel like it earns its runtime. Perhaps we could have cut down some of the Fisto or Mecha Neck stuff to give a little more room for Evil Lynn's character to breathe, even Tila's or Man-in-Arms, but no. So, okay, then what are we left with? We're left with constant action and horrible, ugly green screen. Okay, I gotta say it. This is the ugliest movie of the year, probably one of the ugliest movies of the decade. It looks horrendous throughout. There are a few shots, a few scenes fully that actually look genuinely incredible. Like, you can tell they put their whole fucking pussy and all the budget into those few scenes. And then the rest of the movie is just sludge. It's terribly cut, terribly shot, terribly blocked, if at all, because a lot of it is just green screen that's lit in post in these artificial alien environments that look horrible. They look so bad. This movie really would have benefited from some intentional lighting and sets. If the movie did have physical sets outside of some indoor stuff, I would genuinely be shocked. There are some that are obviously sets, like there's this cave, and then there's this prison that's like obviously a set, but the larger world of Eternia, I think, is almost all green screen, and it looks terrible. Just really bad. You know what does look good, though? Skeletor. So let's talk about Jared Leto. Presumably the reason this movie is bombing. I don't know how he continues to get roles. Every movie he's in recently, and within the past decade, has ended up a critical and financial bomb, and that just doesn't look like it's going to be changing anytime soon, regardless of his good performance. Now, if you scroll on Letterboxd, Twitter, Reddit, anywhere conversation is being had about this film, you're going to see endless praise about Leto's performance. And to that, I have to say, are you guys that easy? Yes, he was good as Skeletor. He was good in American Psycho 2 decades ago. That doesn't change the fact that he's a pedophile cult leader. For some reason, he's like the prevailing message coming out of this film is that it's like oh no, the worst person you know made a good point. They're doing that with Jared Leto. It's like so many people are just like, oh, I fucking hate Jared Leto, but he's so good in this film. And like, yeah, he's good, but I don't think like a good voice performance as Skeletor is enough for me to like focus on him that much. And so that's all I'm going to say about Jared Leto. That's actually all, not just about Jared Leto. That's the whole video. If you enjoyed that, make sure to subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. I have so many good, fun, amazing ones. And I want to give a huge shout out to my channel members, Kat McKee, McSnicker Bottom, and Phoenix E. You guys are the goats. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you want to do so and get some really cool hippo emotes and a nice badge next to your name in the comments, you should totally do that. Other than that, though, have a wonderful day or night. Hippo out.